Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Buy Black for Life family, Buy Black for Life community. No matter where you are watching, whether you're watching this live or you are watching this on replay, welcome, Buy Black for Life, our Education Saturday. And I am excited for this opportunity, this panel of amazing women. It is Women's Her Story Month 2024. And yes, I'll say it again, her story, because we need to be about her story. So, welcome. My name is Jerome Hurt, founder, CEO of the Buy Black for Life community. And I want to have my panelists and my guests to start by introducing themselves to each of you. And I'm just going to go in the order as you appear upon my screen. And I will start with you, Miss Tangiel. Please introduce yourself to our people, please.
Sure. My name is Tangel Johnson, and I am the founder and CEO of Your Corporate IQ, as well as I work in corporate America as a senior talent acquisition specialist for McKinney's.
Awesome. And Tangiel, I had the pleasure of actually interviewing and having an amazing conversation about our community, our Buy Black for Life community on her platform. So I thank you for blessing me with the opportunity to always be able to talk about the community that I serve and I'm a part of. So thank you and welcome.
And thank you.
Next up, we have, I'm just going to say my sister from another mister, the amazing Nicole Benford. Nicole, please tell folks about yourself, please.
Thank you, Jerome, and you're so sweet. Nicole Benford. I wear several hats, but my full-time job is a program director of a financial literacy office at UNC Charlotte, where we're educating young people about how to manage their money. Pretty much all the hats that I wear have something to do with managing money, though.
Love
I'm
that.
happy to be
Love
here.
that. And I'm gonna have some space for you because April, as we did at TIAA CREF, is
Mhm.
Financial Literacy Month, and I would really love to plug in with you and actually with our next guest about financial literacy next month. So look,
That
be
would be
on the
great.
lookout, sis. And our next guest, and she's amazing in and of herself, is Dr. Tyra Jones. Dr. Tyra, welcome. Um, please, just give us a quick intro about who you are and what you do, please.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. My name is Tyra Jones, and I am a corporate trainer. I run a business development firm in Houston, JA Corp Advisors, as well as I am a corporate trainer under RNS Corporate Training. My background in business really started in education and stemmed into consulting and into financial consulting as well. We specialize in corporate structuring. And with the corporate training, we specialize in developing curriculum for corporate or certifications, as well as several entrepreneurship programs for different ages, from youth all the way to adults who are already established and running their businesses.
Thank you, Dr. Tyra, and welcome. Next up, my momentum sister, Daryl. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daryl Francis, and I am CEO and founder of Flavors of Movement. I bring creative fitness services to people of all ages for the purpose of transforming your mind, your body, and your soul through things like double dutch, gymnastics, dance, all those creative fitness outlets. Yeah, for everyone. So and the goal is to transform your body, your mind, your soul, your life overall, and just create better quality of living.
Thank you, thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Jantra Morris. Morris, please introduce yourself, Jantra.
Hello. Hello, my name is Jan Charles Morris. After working 45 years in social services, I have retired. I am enjoying my retirement, and I have so much more time to do what I enjoy, which is learning about health and wellness and African history. I also have a master's degree in health education, which is a huge part for me.
Awesome. Well, welcome, family. I thank you all for being with us. And if you're in the chat and you are watching this, please let us know where you're watching from. And also, if you have any questions for this amazing panel of ladies, please chime in. But I want to start out, and I will start with Tanjil. If we honor and celebrate each of you as women during Women's History Month and each and every day after. Who are the women, and this is for everyone, who are the women that inspire you?
Wow, such a big loaded question because there isn't just one, there's multiples, and so I'll try to make this brief. Believe it or not, Harriet Tubman has been one of the people that have inspired me throughout my life. I am inspired by her leadership. In addition, my mother,
Mm.
as well as her sisters, I call them the Bass women. These are some fierce women from Mississippi. And they have taught me to always present myself well. And my mother in particular has taught me that there will always be obstacles in life,
Yes.
but that's not the main subject that I need to focus on. The focus is, what am I going to do about it?
Mm.
And so with every obstacle that comes, I don't get flustered. I take it as it comes and I focus on what am I going to do about it? So that's my mom. I'd like to just give a shout out to two other people. One is Dr. Adrian Israel. I am in awe of this woman. She is a doctor, a historian, and I really am inspired by her courage. And lastly, Christine Watkins Richardson, who was my first mentor before I understood what it meant to believe in myself. She gave me that. So those are the ladies that have inspired me.
Thank you. Nicole, how about you? Who are your sheroes, basically?
Yeah. So I reflected on this quite a bit because how often do we actually like think about the things that influenced our lives? But
Right.
I for sure have to start with my mom. She wasn't perfect by any means. She's been gone now. Later this year will be 4 years.
It's been 4
But
years
she
ago.
inspired me 100% to be who I am today, whether it was me just seeing how she moved in the world when I was a little girl and just admiring her wearing her business suits. And like there was a point in time where she worked late. My grandmother would take care of us and feed us dinner, but she would pick us up in a limousine because that's what her job did. If they worked late, they sent them home in a limo. And so it was just like, those experiences, businesses don't do that anymore.
No.
But this is like 80s. It was a benefit of working late anyway. That was early inspiration, was just seeing how she seemed so powerful. I mean, she was a paralegal, but she seemed super powerful to me. And then just like pushing me academically in my life. My parents didn't go to college, but I always knew I was going to college, and it wasn't ever like something that was verbalized, but it was just what they instilled in me in terms of education. But as I've gotten older, outside of my mom, my mother-in-law has inspired me as a mom. She's an outstanding mother, and so I was talking with my family the other day, and my son was like, "Well, who are you gonna say?" And when I started with my mom, he's like, "Okay, that makes sense." Right. And I was like, but Daddy's mom too. And he was like, "Oh, yep, that makes sense too." Yeah. She's such an outstanding mother, and she I will never be the type of mom she is just because of the different types of hats that I wear. But she inspires me to always kind of center my children as a priority, regardless of other things that I do.
Right.
And then outside of my family and these two outstanding women that have been highly influential in me. Of course, there are business women. Mellody Hobson is one that comes to mind to me. Whether it was back in the day, she used to be on Good Morning America talking about finances.
Right.
But then as I followed her, being at this point, I think she's co-CEO of Ariel Investments in Chicago. Just that the fact that a woman is running an investment firm
Right.
started by that black man
Right.
is so inspiring. I watch her TED Talks. I get a lot of inspiration just from her journey and just her confidence in how she moves in the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole.
Mhm.
Dr. Tyra, same question.
Well, I would definitely have to say there are many women, and I would start by saying the profile, given the profile of the women who have inspired me throughout my lifetime, women who have truly matriculated through womanhood, who have themselves been guided by a woman and taught the necessary skills and personal development in becoming a woman, and the type of decisions that women make as opposed to decisions that girls make. I would say that if I had to name, of course, my mother, she inspired, a lot of different aspects, but actually, my aunt, I have an aunt that inspired me, but for the most part, I would say Mary, actually the mother of Jesus. And I say that because when you think about the fact that she actually was able to bring us back from where Eve left us off, and she pretty much accepted the challenge and knew that this unborn child was gonna be crucified,
Right.
and as a black woman, having children and having a son, just the fear of my son being, in the world and being out, on the road or being in the street. I could not imagine knowing for sure, that child was going to be crucified at some point in his life. So I would have to say Mary, because her journey throughout her mother, being the mother of all mothers, and as well as especially being the mother of someone who gave such a great sacrifice. Her heart is really where mine is a lot of the times with my children, as well as with the children that I work with in other facets of my life.
Awesome. Thank you. That's amazing. Daryl, how about you?
Yes, so for me, same, there are a lot of inspiring women in my life, but I'm going to speak more on like women who I've aligned with more recently.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'll start with Mrs. Therese Myers. All of these women are entrepreneurial women, by the way. Mrs. Therese Myers owns Yes Girls Create Inc. And she's actually my first mentor as well. Um, and yeah, she's amazing. Like when I first met her, it's actually through Momentum,
Mhm.
and I really like enjoyed the spirit and the aura that she was giving off. Very bold, courageous, powerful, like kind of straight to the point kind of woman. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Um, and these same qualities are qualities I admire in the next two women I'm going to mention. Sorry, Makita Peters of 444 Cocktails,
Mhm.
and also Grace Lamore of um, Glamour. What's your business again? Grace Glamour Method LLC. Um, all of these women have like very powerful fronts and may be seen in the world as like hard, but you can tell they're truth seekers and they're go-getters, and that they're sweet at heart and genuine at heart. Um, so yes, I admire these women, and each of these women serve as a mentor to me in some way, shape, or form. And I just connected with them within the past couple years, so
Wow.
it means a lot to see how they're moving, and
Mhm.
I'm inspired by that in my business as well. So yeah, shout out
Awesome.
to those women.
And that's the way our momentum family works. It doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether you just meet them in a couple of years ago or
Hmm.
you've known them forever. That connection is because of what we go
Powerful.
through in those rooms is powerful,
Hmm.
and it leads to a connection. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Jantra, same question. Who's your Shiro?
Well,
She Rose.
her name is Marion Wright Edelman. She wrote the book, The Measure of Our Success. She is an 83-year-old lawyer and the founder of the Children's Defense Fund. I learned about this woman when I was a freshman at St. Joe's University. She was the only Black woman that was ever mentioned at St. Joe's in my classes. But this woman is an advocate for children and for family. And I've admired her for the last 50 years.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
A second person, can I name a second person?
Absolutely, you're not
Second
limited.
person, and I tend to admire people who I don't even know, but have followed their life and know their story. So my second person, her name is Elizabeth Key. She was born in 1630, and she was the very first woman to petition the courts for her freedom through the Slave Petition Act, and she won her case. I say that because as I learned history and I learned these amazing stories, and as a child in school when I was younger, we only learned about Dred Scott
Right.
versus Stanford. He was the only person ever. But when I did the research, there were thousands of African women and men, but mostly women, who went to court. And so Elizabeth Key, who won her case in 1656, is one of my sheroes. And I love telling people about her story. She was only in her 20s when she did that.
Wow. And I appreciate your love of history and sharing that love of history is so valuable, especially for our people in our communities, because a lot of our history actually is whitewashed. And the more that we dig and the more that we learn, it just gives us as people more reason to stand tall and stand with pride about who we are and where we come from. So thank you for that. So, Nicole, I want to start with you on this one. What piece of advice did your Shiro give to you or has given to you in your life, your career, your profession, or your business? What piece of advice that stayed with you did you receive?
I was gonna go back to my mom.
Please, please.
So for sure, it was just not settling for being average. I remember I got my first C my freshman year of high school, and I was like, it was one quarter. I'm like downplaying, and I'm like, she was like, no, you're gonna go to school early. Your teacher is willing to tutor you. You need to get these vocabulary words. Like, she was like, no, you don't want to be average. Like, she was like, everybody can be average. And so she pushed me, and she held me to a standard, which I have since held myself to as well. And so I think that was just kind of the foundation of the things that I've been able to accomplish and the way that I go about just my life and how I move in different spaces, whether they're professional or whether they're volunteer things that I do or otherwise.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Tyra, what piece of advice did your Shiro give you that stays with you or has guided you?
Well, as I share, I have a profile of a Shiro as opposed to one individual, but I would have to say that amongst those profiles, my mother influenced me in terms of, how I look when I walk out the house, and it just still stays with me. And then also in society, as being a debutante when I was younger, exposing me to etiquette. She was very high on that. And then also several women throughout my life who I've watched, and I learned from their mistakes, and I appreciate them being candid and sharing a lot of their mistakes because I identify with those, and I was able to make some corrections of my own because they shared. So, like I said, when women have truly matriculated into womanhood, you make decisions that are very different and very much more contributing to your immediate environment as well as your local community. So I would have to say those are the things that inspired me personally.
Dr. Tyra, if I can, because one of the things you talk about is that they kind of course corrected you, and I see with the different generations, I see that maybe they don't see our generation and trying to help them navigate this world differently and we want to make the path easier. Do you find that to be a struggle for you in all of the work that you do in working with young people?
Yes, because when we came up, I was born in 71. And when I came up, there was no other influence other than my household and my immediate surroundings. So our parents put us in environments that they wanted to make an influence on our character. Now there's social media. There's so many different types of influences that they adopt, and a parent doesn't even know that they're adopting these different characteristics. They look at something as fun and trendy when it's really contradicting to their entire livelihood. And parents are combating against that influence of whatever it is that they're tying themselves to. But what I am finding is that when working with the college age students, they're kind of figuring out that, okay, that's really not real. Those things are an
Right.
illusion, and they really don't contribute to the overall structure of being successful in life, because everybody wants to be successful. That's why they're influenced by those images.
Right.
But what I've found is that they're realizing, okay, I really need to step back and start listening to some of these fundamental trainings on soft skills, leadership development, and things of that sort. So there are a few, at that age that realize it, but we do have the challenge of social media.
Thank you. And Daryl, I want to have you answer that same question about the guidance that you were given, but you are of the younger generation amongst us all here. So I just want you to pick up from what Dr. Tyra said and how you, if you get that advice from someone of a older generation, how you put that into play, how you respond to that. We're not hearing you. You're on mute. You're on mute. Thank
Okay,
you.
sorry about that.
That's okay.
um, yeah, so how I receive guidance from other generations. Um,
Yes.
that's a good question because that's something that I'm a big advocate and proponent for. Hearing from older generations and learning from their mistakes rather than us repeating the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
um, so, I mean, but you take everything with a grain of salt, of course. So I definitely believe in listening to the stories of and watching the experiences and continuing to watch because we're making mistakes through every phase of life, every year of life.
Right.
So uh yeah, and I'll also answer the question of
The piece
um
of advice
yeah.
that stays with you. Yeah.
So I don't know who said this, but definitely a black woman. Um and she said, it's always been you. You are the love of your life.
Mm.
That has, and mind you, since you know I'm on social media and all that good stuff, somebody on social media said this. So I read that and I'm like, that's something that every woman needs to hear, and not
Mm.
even just on a romance level, but on a just life level. You come first. You have to pour into yourself first in order to give the best to others. So that has stuck with me for a while, and I don't think that's going anywhere.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, of
Gentra,
course.
how about you?
For me, it would be what my mother has always said, don't give up. You are valuable. You are very important. And you are a gifted. Looks does not apply to anything other than what comes out of your mouth.
Thank you. Thank you. Tangiel, how about you?
As mentioned before, my mom, my mom again has impressed upon me that no matter what's coming your way, the plan of action is what matters. What are you going to do? Whether it's good things or bad, what is your plan?
Right.
If I could add to that, she has always said put God first, and have a positive attitude. It's really hard to move forward if you put the obstacles in front of your face before you start.
Right.
So having an open mind, being positive, and having a plan.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I have to say that my wife has taught me is to celebrate herself. Um, especially as a woman. Celebrate. I took from her because in my past life I would not celebrate my wins. I would just be so ultra focused, and I think it was the athlete in me, ultra focused on the next thing.
Mhm.
So, Dr. Tyra, how do you celebrate yourself as a woman?
Oh, that's a great question. I like to travel. So I will book a travel situation. It can even be a staycation, or it can be to, somewhere that I've always wanted to visit, or, and I'm, and not like you, I'm always in business,
Right,
but I'm always traveling. If I travel outside of Texas, then it's always some aspect of business, at least one day,
right.
because I am going to write off that trip. But I try to make sure that I treat myself better than anyone could ever treat me. So my
Mm,
expectation is never beyond what I can treat myself. So I like to take staycations and vacations to celebrate myself, especially on my birthday.
I love that. Yes. You know me and travel, the Hurt World Tour.
I
So,
know, right?
Daryl, how about you? What do you do to celebrate you?
So, same thing Tyra said. This is a great question. This is something I've been asking other people. How do you celebrate you? Because I need to figure it out. um, so for me, I realized, and this should be a standard, but my favorite way to celebrate myself is to simply slow down,
Mm,
especially
mm,
being from New York City. Everything's so fast paced, and
everything. Yeah.
I know that's not just New York, but even more so in New York, everything's so fast paced. Um, so to slow down and just sit with myself and journal, read, like I enjoy nighttime, the night hours. I'm a night owl. So I will just kind of set up my lighting and light a candle, have some tea, and just write or just read and just time to myself, quiet time, stillness. So yeah, that's my way of celebrating myself right now, and that's gonna look different all the time, but
Oh, it
I
will
would say,
evolve. Absolutely.
hmm
Yes, it will.
but that's definitely my favorite. To just be, and not have to worry about doing anything. Just be. Yeah.
Thank you. Jantra, how about yourself? How do you celebrate you?
Learning to be kind to myself,
Mm,
letting go of my ego,
mm,
and just for example, talking to a friend from grade school who are still my friends, or spending hours at my favorite bookstore, that kind of things that I enjoy the environment and space.
how do you let go of your ego?
Well, stop being judgmental about me, not looking at people and judging who they are and why. Letting go of that and have a heart of love.
Got it. Because
Mm.
my part of letting go of my ego is not feeling like I have to be perfect in everything that I do. Right? When I lean into the mistakes that I've made and learn from them, I feel like I'm removing my ego of perfection, and I have to be the best I have to do. So thank you for that. Tanjil, how about you? How do you celebrate you?
Well, first, I have to just applaud the ladies because each of you have spoken a part of what I do to celebrate myself. And to just speak on Jantra's last comment, I just learned about self compassion this year.
Mm,
Taking on my mom's spirit of having a plan and moving forward, I didn't stop to process all that I've been through, all that I have overcome. And so that means you have to stop and love on yourself. And so self-compassion. And so in addition to all the things that you mentioned, I would say adding to that would be spending time with my girlfriends. I have girlfriends from the East Coast as well as the West Coast that I have grown up with the first part of my life, and then, of course, this last part of my life. And when we get together, it's always a celebration of each other. We're constantly uplifting one another, as well as correcting, as well
Right.
as praying. We're doing it all together and being fabulous together. So that's how I celebrate.
I love that. Nicole, how about you?
This one's hard. Because I don't do it enough.
Okay.
But I got some great ideas today. I will co-sign with Daryl's comment about like not doing anything, which is also something I don't get to do very often. But when I can just disconnect and read a good book, that's kind of a happy place for me. But I wish I spent more time with my girlfriends. I wish I was. What I will say, I do get to take some business trips sometimes, conferences and stuff, and I do make it a point to just like get fresh air or just go for a stroll in the new
Right.
city and stuff like that. But that's so infrequent, and so I'm working on it.
Okay.
Is my answer.
As someone who knows you, like I said, 20 plus years, I'm coming for you to make sure that you are doing that.
Yeah.
And don't let me have to call my brother Julius to be like, hey bro,
Yeah.
thank you for
so
that.
he tries to push me.
Yeah. Listen, I was the same way. Again, ultra focused on the very next thing. So we because of my wife, I've learned that enjoy the moment, celebrate your wins. So it could happen, sis. Trust me. So Daryl is interesting. I'm going to be starting with you with this next question because of you being the youngest of our panelists, right? But what legacy? And I know you're still young, so your legacy, just as with how you're going to celebrate you, could evolve. But right now, what legacy would you like to leave to the young women coming behind you, the young women who are watching you? What legacy would you like to leave to them?
So I want to say that my main word is going to be empowerment. I want to empower women, especially younger women, and going back to my point before, like it's always been you, like empower yourself, and that's how you empower others.
Right.
So I want younger women to know, and especially as Black women in general, but mostly Black women, we're often socialized to take care of everybody else beside us. And yeah, I want younger women to be able to take care of themselves first and know that they can receive love from their friends, family, community. Like, there are so many sources of love. Love is so abundant.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want to like share that down, because the more of those kind of loves that we have, um, the more we can share. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you. Jantra, how about you?
What Daryl said, not me, is it's exactly what I have here on paper.
Yeah.
But I agree. I want the younger cells in my family to always be comfortable to use their words, to speak truth, and always have a heart filled with love. No judgment, no judgmental mentality. Just open your heart to love, and everything will just come to you in abundance. All the most wonderful gifts in the world. Thank you, Darryl, for what you said.
Of course.
Thank you. Tangiel, how about you?
I would say to remember to encourage and spend time with others. Part of my mantra is to ignite what's already in someone. And because I've been doing what I do for so long, I have the gift of discernment. I know talent when I see it. And even if you don't see it in yourself, I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to give you tools and a map to try to help you get there. And I wish that there were more people, whether male or female, that would do this, because otherwise, if not, my own journey was stumbling and bumbling, trying to figure it out until I came across a mentor and a coach. And so just remembering that all of these young ladies out there need us to, step in and help. And I want to encourage you to reach one, teach one.
Yes, love that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nicole, you're up, and I know the amazement of your daughter. Like, she's doing some amazing things, but like, she's already forging a path of her own in life, which I love. But what legacy do you want to leave to the young women who are watching you, the young women that you speak to, even at the school, at the college that you are at? What's that legacy?
So I do think it's kind of two different things. But yeah, as a mom, I have two girls. My 17-year-old is graduating and she's so talented. But what I want them both to do is to be able to walk in their purpose, to not just, do like at one point I thought there was a specific path of how you can achieve success.
Right.
But my oldest daughter, Nia, has taught me that you got to give them the freedom to figure out what their path is. And so supporting them through that, and then seeing the fruits of it, so proud of where she is, now as both a college student and a mom and a wife, and but giving them the support, but also the freedom to figure out what the right path is for them, but also to not do what it is that I think they should do,
Right. Right.
to do what is going to sustain them and make them happy and fulfilled in their life. And so for my oldest, it's like just supporting her in the season that she's in, and like encouraging her on her journey.
Right.
And yeah, for Morgan, it's like, go like, don't waste your talent.
Yeah.
God gave you this amazing voice. She's an actress and a singer, and I just want to support her through that and help her to figure out what her path will be after high school. But then I have an amazing opportunity to engage with so many young people on this campus, and of course, my job is to teach them about money and how do you manage your money. I want every person in my life to be able to know how to have a budget, how to save, how to
Right.
make sure that they're gonna be secure financially. But I'm also trying to make sure that they're growing into confident young women,
Yeah.
that they're that they're being encouraged. They have their own parents, but I'm seeing them more often, some of them,
Right.
than their own parents might see them, because they're away from home. And so just knowing that there's a safe place where somebody cares about them and they have someone to talk to. And hopefully that gives them that confidence as they enter the workforce after they graduate. Just knowing that that they are enough,
Yes.
and that that they are in charge of their destiny.
Right.
Other people don't have control over where we go and what our path is and how successful we can be, regardless of who we are and where we started and what the color of our skin is or our gender or any of those things. But we got to be aware of the society we live in.
Yes.
So I just want to empower young people to do what they want to do, and to embrace it and to be successful in whatever that path is, not the path that someone else thinks they should take.
Love that. Dr. Tyra, you have a daughter as well, and she looks just like you too. So, what legacy do you want to leave for her and other young women who are coming up behind me and are watching you?
Well, I have this phrase that I've always shared with my kids. I have a daughter and a son, and I've always told both of them that we create what we need.
Mm.
Whatever we need in the family, we can create that. And so, in that, I would, for the women who know more about me, or even the women who may read about me. I want them to see the legacy that I've laid out in my life, to where I created whatever my family needed, and I created what I needed at the moment.
Right.
When my children, and especially my daughter, was younger in grade school, I created opportunities for myself to make sure that I supported her, and because she's epileptic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an educator, as well as I was starting this business at the time. And now she's 25 years old, and she's free from the seizures that she used to have. But it's because I created opportunities for myself to make sure that I was there. Now, it was a struggle, but it was possible. And so the legacy I want to leave is that critical thinking in understanding, number one, business, understanding the flexibility that business gives you for your family, and just understanding that you can create. God gave you the ability and the power to create whatever your family needs. And if you look at the Proverbs 31 woman that was being described by Ruth, that's literally what she was admired in her community for, is because she created opportunity for her kids and for her family. And she was admired as this woman who truly took care of her community and her immediate community or family and her local community. So that's the legacy I would like to leave, whether they're reading about my bio or they know me personally or knew me personally. That's what I would like them to see in their lives as well.
Thank you. Now, this next question is personal, because this is my personal feeling about women, in particular Black women. So any one of you can be the first to take this question, because I feel like women, in particular Black women, are the least protected species on this planet. What if you had the opportunity to shape and fix that thought? And I don't know if you share that thought like I do, but if you had the opportunity to fix that, how would you do so? And I also look at gender pay. I look at domestic violence. I just look at so many different things that is happening in this world. The Supreme Court decision, what happened in Alabama. There's so many different things that are being taken away from women by men that don't look like me, but men are taking away rights of women. If you had the ability as a woman to be able to fix that, how would you fix that?
Can I go?
Anyone, please.
I love this question, by the way. That's a wonderful question. I would fix our plight by redoing the entire system of how our men have been demasculated, and just, since slavery, just pretty much broken down, and even right now, the demasculation of men, because our men, our Black men, are our protectors. The man is the protector in the home as well as the protector in the community. Right. And so it starts with our men being back in the position that they're in. And when our men are back in position, our women will learn more so how to be in their positions as well. Now, the plight that we have with the challenges of what other men of other nationalities and ethnicities, I think it would kind of fall suit with that man, that Black man being in position of leadership in every household. I know that there's always going to be some challenge where a child's going to grow up without the nurturing of a father. But, if I could fix it and I can go back, I would take away all of those systemic policies, those systemic rules, and all of those things that put our Black men out of the home in the first place, starting with slavery, and what they did in slavery.
And you actually touched on something that I'm very strong in talking about, that I believe if men take their rightful place, I believe the rest of the world will fall in line with our people. So thank you for that. Anyone else want to take that question and answer that? Please do.
Yeah, to piggyback on Dr. Tyra, I would I was thinking the family structure. So it's the same concept. But if there was a magical place where every child had a mom and a dad,
Right.
they had that foundation of having both. Let me rephrase. If there was a place where every child had two parents in their home, nurturing them and caring for them and providing them the financial stability of two people in a home, and also just the nurturing that it takes to really raise a child. I think that would be a start.
Right.
Because then that builds the confidence that you can walk into the world with. But there's so many other structures, and for sure, I think that we absolutely have to reimagine policing. Breonna Taylor would not have been fixed by someone by having a mom and dad. And I don't know what her family structure was, but that wouldn't have fixed police officers coming into her home and
Right.
killing her.
Right.
And so some of these other structures, we've got to acknowledge that there's a problem. We've got to fix it. I think that there's a problem when people can go into crowds and kill hundreds of people in minutes. So I think that we should have the right to bear arms, but we shouldn't have the right to be able to commit mass murder in such a short amount of time as individual people that are not in the military. Like, I think it's bigger than what we can fix on our own.
Right.
And 100% we need the right to and the freedom of how we handle our bodies.
Amen.
And so I don't care whether you are pro-life or pro-choice, but you have to be pro people making their own decisions.
Right.
And so I think that we have to start by nurturing and bringing up our children in a stable and loving and empowering environment. But that's only the beginning. Our country's got a lot of changes that they need to make.
Thank you for that, Nicole. Anyone else want to take that question?
I think that for melanated women in 2024, it is important that in our communities, we meet, we talk about our children, about parenting ideas, we be aware of what's happening in the schools, why they're giving our kids antipsychotics for psych diagnosis, but to understand that there's a real dichotomy happening in the United States, whereas for centuries, a certain group has always had a vested interest in demonizing people who look like us. And when we know the history, we know what the books say, we know about their biology, we understand that that's why that stuff is happening. And it makes us more determined to protect our communities, our children, each other. But it means women who look like us sitting down in our communities and talking on a regular basis and sharing ideas. It's not a competition. Nobody's in charge. It's a collective conversation.
Thank you. And
Because it's my story for a reason.
right. And that's one of the reasons why I have this platform, because it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. And it is my real feeling that when we get to a point where we retrain ourselves about collaborating with each other instead of competing with each other, the force that we can become as a race of people, as business owners, as professionals, as leaders, as religious organizations, when we get into collaboration with each other as a people, and I look at you as a sister instead of as somebody I have to compete against, that we create a stronger bond and we create a stronger community. So thank you for that. Daryl, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I do want to add. This was actually the hardest question for me. I did not answer it.
Okay.
I didn't answer it. But I am enjoying hearing what you ladies are mentioning. Definitely what stuck with me, and these are things that I've actually spoken about too on like social media. Nicole mentioned having the two-parent households. That's a big deal. And nowadays things are changing. And like Ms. Jantra said, things are more individual now. And it's like, okay, we need that collectivism, not just the two-parent household, but like the village as well. And yeah, those are very valuable, and not as we don't talk about that much anymore. So yeah, I think, yeah, like Ms. Johnson said, these need to be conversations that are had so
Mhm.
that we can, build appropriately. So
And
that's it.
if I had one thing to say with respect to that community thing,
Mhm.
I would want I would want every last one of us to be able to go to the continent of Africa and go to a village
Mhm.
and stay in that village for a week so we can understand they are about community.
Yeah.
If they see one that is able to prosper, the whole community supports that person. And when that person leaves and they become a success, they give it back to not just their parents, but the entire community.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
one of the things that I know is when we were taken from our land, that part was what was taken from us. And if there's any way that we're going to be able to fix our communities, is to go back and and learn that, not relearn, but to learn that. And for me, it was a humbling experience to go through that. Tanjil, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yes. First, I just want to applaud the ladies again because I agree with each and every one of you. And I have just a little bit of different spin. I believe that before you can be a great contributor to your community, you must understand who you are as a person. And so that means not just understanding where you come from and your personal history, but also in your ancestors' history, but in addition, understanding your personality, understanding your behavioral traits, what sets you off, what gives you passion, all of those things, your intrinsic rewards, because once you understand you, then you can start with the development of you.
Mhm.
Once you start with the development of you, you can practice. And then you can add curiosity on top of that, opposed to being closed minded and assuming that all things will always be this way because of what you see. So having faith, and again, asking questions, educating yourself in every situation, and lastly, believe it or not, having some maturity, striving to be mature, open minded, not forgetting humanity, no
Mm.
matter what we see, no matter what we experience. Again, it's an obstacle. What's our plan to get around it?
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. All of your answers inspired me. So thank you all. So we're about to come to an end, and this question, um, I just would like for each of you ladies to just reflect on and pass on. To today, standing before you is the 10-year-old version of yourself, the 10-year-old version of you. And Tangiel, I'll start with you. What would you say to the 10-year-old version of Tangiel as about the process of growing into womanhood if she was standing before you right now?
The first thing I would say is um, it's okay that the one presence that you feel the most is only you and God, and not to be fooled by being lonely or alone because you're never alone, and that there's always a purpose for every situation, and to believe in yourself and continue to move forward. All things are possible.
Amen. Thank you. Nicole, how about you?
I would tell 10-year-old Nicole to be confident that she is amazing, that which I was not very clear on at that age.
Mhm.
To take in every moment, to experience, like to embrace every experience, and just keep on pushing.
Thank you. Dr. Tyra, how about you?
Well, at 10 years old, I was so shy. I was such an introvert. I missed out on a lot of building relationships with other friends. But I would redirect myself, but I was a PK. So I would redirect myself in connecting the lessons that we learned in Sunday school and in Bible study and every other service that I had to go to that the Bible tells us exactly how to engage with friends, how to engage with people, different scenarios, and to use those scenarios as examples of what's possible, of what you can do. There are instructions in the word as well about, how to govern yourself and things of that sort. So I would redirect myself to make that connection with what I was already learning as a PK, to my social life at school, and to build on that, and to never think that my voice wasn't important. Because as an introvert, sometimes we think that our voice is not important.
Right.
So I would definitely share that as well.
Thank you. Daryl, how about yourself?
I loved this question because as soon as I read it, I thought about all the times where I kind of had to or felt like I needed to isolate myself. Going back to what Mrs. Tangel said. Yeah, I definitely would say one word, just acceptance. Accept who you are. Um, Feeling like I was like different in certain aspects, like really in touch with my emotions. There were times where I would go and I would just journal, because I didn't feel like people around me really understood what was going on in my head. Um, so yeah, I would say to fully accept and embrace exactly who you are, because that thing that you feel awkward or feel like an outcast about is what ends up being what transforms you and the people around you if you fully embrace it. So yeah, I would say that.
Thank you. Jantra, how about you?
I can relate to what Tyra said about when you were trying to be quiet, isolating. That was me to the T. But I would tell my young self, start a journal, sit down with your parents, your aunts, your uncles, grandparents, have them tell you the history of their life. Name the relatives, start the genealogical tree. At that age, so you know who your ancestors, who your relatives were. And be confident in the path that you're on. You're never alone.
Awesome. Thank you. Ladies, you've inspired me. I hope you've inspired those who are watching, who are listening. Um, we 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 all can celebrate women not just for this month, but each and every day going forward. It's something that I aspire to do, not only um, my wife, but the memory of my mother who raised me. Between my wife and I, we have daughters, our daughters, and all of the girls and women in our lives. I'm a protector by nature. So if you're with me, you don't got to worry. I got us. So I just would like to thank you all for being a part of this, for the amazement that each of you do in the lanes that you occupy. I I, I look forward to just reaching out and just connecting once again to eat with each of you individually, and just how I can encourage you and what it is that you do. And if you are a woman watching, please understand that there are men out here who uplift, up, empower, and love you as a woman. And I just want to thank you all for blessing the Buy Black for Life platform. You all are amazing, and I thank you for it. And in closing, I will just say to the Buy Black for Life community, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it on replay, for the love of our people, let's continue to buy Black for Life. Have a great Saturday and a great weekend.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.